Welcome, everybody. The One Piece famine is finally over, and we are back with chapter 1158, aptly titled Rocks versus Herald. So, doesn't seem to be leaving us with too much of a question of what's going to be going on this chapter. But I'm not going to waste any time because we've waited long enough with these 2 weeks. So, let's just dive right into it. The chapter opens up. We're on a certain sea. Oda likes to just kind of throw that out there often. It's just, we're assuming probably somewhere in the Grand Line, but honestly, who knows? We're opening up with the Roger Pirates. We get to see the Oro Jackson is just sailing along, and all of the crew are just talking to Roger and, calling out to him, and they are basically relaying the news like, hey, we heard that Shaki opened up a bar on Pirate Island. Like that's where she's residing now. Like, let's go. And they were like, oh, I thought we were never going to see her again once we heard that she no longer wanted to be a pirate. But sure enough, hey, she's opened up a place. Let's go see her. Let's go get her. And it's funny because we get to see in the panel, we get to see Roger basically like pouting. He's putting on a real like pouty face, which is very different from pretty much all of the representations that we've got to see of Roger. It's like either he's being like serious, courageous, ambitious, maybe even like a little goofy, but not really pouting. It's kind of similar to Luffy. We don't see Luffy full on pouting too much unless, our crew say, Luffy, put the brakes on. We're not going on this crazy adventure. We're not just leaping right into it. That's usually where we see Luffy pout. So this is different for Roger though, as he seems bummed out. He's not being his normal charismatic self. And we even get to see Gaban pick up on that in the chapter. And he immediately obviously goes to Rayleigh. Rayleigh's the number 2 guy. He's Roger's right hand. And he's basically like, hey, like Roger's acting different. And I've noticed he's been acting different since you guys had kind of like your little secret conversation in his quarters. And Rayleigh, because Copper's like, give me the deets, man. Like, come on, like, let me in. I need to know what's going on. And basically Rayleigh denies anything that's going on. He's like, oh, nothing. We didn't talk about anything. Clearly so bad at lying, because it is very obvious, especially if you think about the fact that if you're living on a ship together, you are in close quarters with all of these people all of the time. And you just naturally, like when you spend a lot of time with someone, you start picking up on their different moods. And it's very, very easy to tell typically when something is amiss or wrong. So you're not gonna, like, Rayleigh's not gonna convince Gaban that nothing's going on, because that's also not how Roger typically acts. And Rayleigh's being very dismissive. He's like, nothing. But of course, then we get a little flashback to Rayleigh and Roger speaking, and basically the gist of it is that the last time that they encountered the Kuja pirates, they noticed that Shaki was just different. Like, she was being different. She was acting different. And they assumed, Roger was like, he was worried because he thought she was actually ill. Like, her health was not good. And, but then we get to see that Roger is like, well, but she gave you that during the battle. Like, during our battle with the Kuja pirates, she gave Rayleigh something. And even Rayleigh's like, yeah, I was speechless. Like, I didn't even know what to say. So, and then we get to see it's literally just like a little, basically looks like a sticky note, and it's from Shaki to Rayleigh, and it just says, come and make me yours. And then Roger's like, this is literally the only way that I can describe this is a love letter. And especially for someone like Shaki, and we've seen her demeanor, and she's not the person who like overly fawns over people. She's much more distant. She's always kind of keeping it cool. That is probably like the most direct she could be, is literally a note that just says, come and make me yours. Because she's not the type of person, she's not going to chase. She's not going to be the chaser. She is making her feelings known to Rayleigh, but it's, okay, now you know, now you, if you want to make me yours, you have to come and get me. So I really like the dynamic there. It's just a bit different, especially from what we've seen from the other empresses of Amazon Lily, between Gloriosa and even Boa towards Luffy. It's just this head over heels. She's pursuing. What can I do for you? And this is just a totally different version of it, but it's still the same sickness. And even Roger is like, well, and you're not interested? And Rayleigh's like, well, no, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested. But the matter, like the actual root is that I just don't want to be tied down. He's a pirate. He's going with Roger. They have plans. They're doing things. So tying himself down in a serious relationship or falling in love with a woman or falling in love with Shaki could literally derail his entire plans. So it's like, I get it. But then we cut back to the present and Roger bounces back. I guess he says he's not giving up. And, that makes Rayleigh happy too. Cause that's the man he chose to follow, that even when things aren't going his way, when things are tough, he stands back up, gets energetic, gets everyone, jazzed to go after what it is. And that's the thing, is he gives the little speech of how pirates live and they plunder and they don't stop till the prize is claimed. And I love that, because it really is. That's the pirate spirit. It's, we want this. We're not going to let anything get in the way of that, whether it be the government, the other pirates, or whatever it may be, or even love, they're not going to let anything get in the way. So they're all joking around. We get to see some more of the Roger pirates and their dynamic, and they're talking, and well, they're even saying, they're going to the pirate island too. So they're going right into Rock's territory, but they're willing to do it for love, for Shaki. And there's this little cool part, but we get to see a young Shanks talking about how he's hungry, and we get to find out, I guess, who the chef of the Roger Pirates is, and that's a guy named Marks. We get to see him. He's already got the food done, and they're ready to dig in. So from the Roger Pirates, now we cut away to Marijois. We're going to the Holy Land. We got Pangea Castle, and it opens up with the Gorosei speaking to Garling. They're talking about how he's impatient. The previous competition that they hold every 3 years just ended. So, and they're just like, hey, like, hold your horses, dude. Because he is coming to them saying that he already has the location of where they should do the next competition, their hunting expedition, and just atrocities to unaffiliated countries. And basically, Garling is like, yeah, I know, I'm aware that I'm being impatient, but this isn't necessarily about the competition. He is saying that he briefly stopped at God Valley, at that island, for a mission. He was on another assignment, presumably an assignment coming down, the pipeline from Emu, or whoever at this current time was the supreme commander of the Holy Knights. And he talks about how he was there shortly for that assignment, whatever it may have been. And they even offered the kingdom of God Valley, the people there, they're non-affiliated. He even offered a membership into the world government, and they did decline. And he brings up the fact that they do have abundant natural resources that could definitely prove valuable for the world government. But while he was there, they made an outrageous discovery. And when I heard that, because he said it was completely an unexpected find, that to me really piques my interest, because we're talking about the world nobles. We're talking about the people that can basically get anything that they want in life. So, and there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, even in their own operations and their goals, that we don't know what they're working towards. Because obviously, if Garling was on an assignment, that means there's orders coming from somewhere and they're for a purpose. But we're just not very privy to that yet. But he says he's there, and there's this unexpected find, and something that could actually be unexpected to Garling really piques my interest. And that is why, whatever this huge surprise, that's why he felt the need to come before the Gorosei and request, strongly urge that they hold the next hunt at God Valley, which we obviously know that they do. And that's where a lot of all of this flashback is clearly heading us to. We always, or at least I always believed, like God Valley was this super important thing, literally just from the pirate side, because we have the ultimate clash between the Rocks pirates and the Roger pirates, along with Garp in the Navy. And it just seemed like the Tenryubito, the Celestial Dragons, that part was just like in the background. Like, oh, they're just sick people doing sick things. But we really just care about the pirates in the Navy. But it turns out that the government and the Holy Knights, there's a much bigger play here, specifically when it is in regard to God Valley. We're just not privy to that information yet, because clearly I think that's what Oda is setting us up to get to, hopefully sometime soon. So I'll digress on that. We should see more of that unfold, especially once we actually get to God Valley. I'm not going to go crazy with trying to theorize what actually they found there. I'm just going to wait and be pleasantly surprised. But if any of you have any, kind of revolutionary ideas of what you think could potentially be at God Valley, that is this unexpected find, go ahead and let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to just hear what's going on in your guys' brain. So furthermore, we cut away from the Holy Land, and now we are back on Pirate Island at Shaki's Ripoff Bar. We see that she's got a huge line, of course. We know that this is like the hit place for the pirates. People are traveling across the world to get to her, basically just to be given terrible service and be ripped off. She tries to charge a guy a ton of money. He's like, I ain't got that. She's like, okay, well, you can come work 2 years unpaid, and that'll cover your tab, which is just crazy. She's a terrible business owner. Her business model is to demean and just give the customer whatever she wants to do, and they just need to be happy with receiving it. So it's hilarious just to see that she has not changed. She's the same way when we first came across her in Sabaody. She was literally in the middle of just beating these guys up and taking them for all their money when our crew and Hachi and all them showed up. So she's always been the same. It is just really awesome to see. She's just doing her thing, and we get to see that the Rocks pirates are currently present. She even goes up to Rocks and is like, what happened? What happened? Something happened here. Like, something's going on, Rocks. She's like, I'm a little sad that your satisfied grin isn't directed towards me anymore. And he's like, what do you, kind of like playing coy about it. And even Big Mom is like, a woman's intuition, it's a scary thing, isn't it? And, he's just like, shut up, like, get out of my business. But then the rest of the crew is kind of shocked because Whitebeard's like, well, what's going on? But then Stussy's like, well, it has to be a woman. He's grinning like he's expecting a kid. So obviously, my thought, and probably most other people's thought, is he met someone during his past, whatever amount of time. He met a woman, and that presumably would be Blackbeard, would be Teach's mom. So he maybe is just like happy that he's continued his lineage, but maybe he actually has genuine feelings for whoever Blackbeard's mom is. But then, of course, we got the Roger pirates barreling into the bar. Roger comes in proclaiming, "Hey, Shockey, I've come for you." You got Gabon there, a couple of the other guys we don't know their names of, but they're rolling in, and her reaction is just, "Oh, Roger," like, it's pretty normal. Because clearly Roger is not the one that she has eyes for her feelings. They're not towards Roger, but he's not giving up. But we get this awesome panel of, we got Rox and Roger coming forehead to forehead, and they're like, Rox is like, "This is my island. How many times do I have to tell you that?" And Roger comes back. He's got the grin on. He's like, "Well, didn't you hear, like, fighting at Shockey's bar is forbidden. Like, it does not happen." And he calls him a porcupine, which is hilarious because Rox has the spiky hair. So I just love this because even amongst pirates, and I mean rivals of rivals when it comes to the pirate world, the Rox Pirates at this time is 100% Roger's biggest competitor. So even these extremely powerful individuals, respect the rule of Shockey's bar. So I just love that because even them, there's a code. There's a code that is being followed. So I always like seeing that there are boundaries somewhere. And it allows us to get a really unique interaction where we have these basically enemies where they're forced into a situation where they are close quarters, but they cannot actually do anything about it. They can't fight each other. So we get to actually see them just like talking and joking, because then Rox is like, "There was a huge line out there. Like, how the heck did you get in here?" And Roger's like, "There was a line? Like, no way. I hardly noticed, man. I just walked in." And then we get a scene from the outside. They just destroyed all those pirates who were just waiting in line. So it just kills me because, the rules in the bar, no fighting, lined up to come in, that's a different story. So they just start drinking. Whitebeard's like, "Peace out. You guys are just too noisy. See you later." But then Shockey goes to Roger and is like, "Where's Ray-san? Where's Rayleigh? Where's my crush? Where's my boo?" And Roger's like, "Well, he's on the ship taking a nap because he wasn't feeling well. But, I'm here." And then Gloriosa comes flying in, attacking Roger, saying how much she missed him. And Roger comes back, and this is super ironic because he literally immediately says to Gloriosa, "I'm not into the lovey-dovey women who throw themselves at me." But yet he doesn't realize he is doing the same thing to Shockey. And that is not what Shockey likes either. She doesn't want the men who throw themselves at her, because that's most men. That's probably one of the characteristics that she was attracted to from Rayleigh, because he just he keeps his cool. He's not, overly like all up in her business. And it's funny because Roger's rejecting Gloriosa for that, but he doesn't realize that he's being rejected by Shockey because of the same reason. So we get to see that Shockey actually, she's sad. She, like dang it, that Rayleigh wasn't there. She obviously wants to see him. She wants him to come get her. But Rayleigh is trying to stand strong, because I'm sure because he also would like to be with Shockey, but he doesn't want it to get in the way of his duties, he is choosing to remove himself so that he doesn't give himself the opportunity to be in that compromising situation by being close to her. So we got them all just drinking, partying. Rayleigh's back at the boat singing Bink Sake. It's a really cool scene. But then we have Shaki. She fainted. So it literally plays right into it, because I think Shaki passed out purely because Rayleigh he's resisting her. And that is actually a positive for her and making her fall deeper in her lovesickness for Rayleigh. So we cut away from the pirate island. We get an awesome like double panel of Rox and Roger, where it's basically just saying like, on the island at Shaki's bar, we're following these rules, but once we're back at sea, all bets are off. So I love that. There's a code, they're following it, but then once we're out back in the real world, it's time to go. It doesn't matter. It's on site. But now we get to the meat and potatoes of this chapter. We're back at Elbaf. We're in the realm of the dead. We got Loki there. We got Hajrudin there. They're getting blown back by blasts. We get to see hockey lightning shooting out. And I always got to remember that we're looking at Elbaf. Elbaf as an island is gigantic, but we're seeing this hockey radiate all the way from the island to outside of it. So Harold, we get to see Harold and Rox clashing. So that just means these guys are both, we know they're extremely powerful, and both of them have extremely powerful hockey along with it. But just the scale of it is astronomical. We've got them going back and forth. They're basically arguing as they go. I'm assuming Rox came back to, well, probably get like a drink and some food and talk to Harold and probably try to recruit him again. And we know that at the end of last chapter, the Gorosei were extending the offer to Harold that if he were to kill Rox, they would give him basically the membership to the world government. So he must have showed up, and it must have devolved into a fight pretty much on site. And Rox he's just yelling at Harold, like, you're wrapped around the world government's finger. Like, you're doing their bidding. Like, is this all really worth killing your friend over? Because in the end, you're just being a tool. Like, they're using you as a tool. They know what it is you want most, and they are dangling that as the carrot in front of you to just get you to do their bidding. And even Harold's like, I was torn. I was torn. But Rox isn't giving up. He's just laying into him, saying, like, they only see you as a military asset. Like, you're going to get all of your people enslaved, basically, as soldiers to just fill their army. Like, what happened to your warrior's pride? But Harold claps back, sending Rox flying back, saying, why are you talking like you know everything? Like, don't you realize our warriors created this history of violence? They were out in the world just like destroying and being basic. They weren't being great. They built up a terrible reputation. They probably destroyed so many people's lives. And that has resulted in Elbaf being shackled by the past so that they can't achieve true peace. Because then we even get to see a flashback of Harold talking to these different, what looks to be kings of different nations. And they're like, well, Harold, you seem to have a good heart, but a long time ago, like, our country was attacked by giants. And that stuff does not fade easily. And that it is true. Even in our world today, negativity always spreads faster and sticks longer. And positivity is a much more slow burn that takes so much time and effort to culminate and for it to actually have impact. We see it all over the internet nowadays. Like it's negativity because it grabs your attention, it's fast, it gets an emotional response out of you. And it's the same way in the One Piece world with these traumatic experiences of being attacked by the giants. So even though Harold is just putting in work, good faith, it just, you're chipping away at step by step, whereas doing one bad deed can just be like building a mountain. It's so hard to overcome. And that's what Harold is realizing, that just his good faith alone is taking too long, and it may never actually get there. But the world government at the end of the day has the influence to bring Elbaf into the fold. But Rox hates this, obviously. He is like anti-government #1 dude. And he calls Harold a cowardly rat because ultimately, and he hits him with one of his like cannon-like sword blows. It goes right through Harold's gut. Like, I mean, they are really just getting after it. But this is more of a fight on principles. They're obviously physically fighting right now, but the root of it is in principle. They are fighting on beliefs, which are far stronger than just their physical might. And they are going back and forth. But Rox declares, like, hey, our business is closed. Like, you're not getting another invite from me. And Harold is like, well, I'm a king. I can't throw away my people's lives to join a technical criminal villain like you on an ultimately foolhardy mission that's bound to fail. And it's like this, it really does kind of tear me up because they both have extremely valid points. And Rox is the dreamer. Rox is the dreamer. He's the one, it is a bit more selfish. It is what is my true desire and only pursuing that above all else, where Harold has the role of a king. He has a whole kingdom, so many people to look after and do what is in their best interest, not just his own personal best interest. So they're both right, but ultimately neither of them can concede on those strongly held beliefs. So they split. There wasn't a true conclusion, but their friendship had come to an end. And it says that they would not meet again for some time, not until the day of a certain incident. Which just, it really is. Over this flashback, I've grown to really love their friendship with each other. So it is a bit sad to have it conclude in this manner. And ultimately, it just comes back to the world government. The world government, they are just the crux of all that tears people apart in the One Piece world. Obviously, not every single aspect. There's some bad pirates, there's bad Navy men, but like the crux of it is the world government. And that's exactly why Dragon, that's where he's going. He's going after them. He doesn't care about the Navy. He doesn't care about anybody else besides the Tenryubito, the Gorosei, and well, now he's aware of Imu's existence as well through Sabo. So it just, in the incident, I'm assuming, is God Valley that they're talking about, that they won't see each other until. I don't know why. We haven't had confirmation that Harold was on God Valley at any point, but we know in current Elbaf that Imu talks about Harold's blunder, that his blunder cost Imu basically, things would be settled if Harold wouldn't have interfered. So my assumption is that Harold, they are going to see each other again on God Valley. And Harold more than likely is going to make the stand against the world government because Elbaf is still unaffiliated in the current day. And Harold is dead and was most likely assassinated by the world government in some capacity. We still need to figure out what's going on with that whole situation of his own men stabbing him. So That's my assumption. But we get to see this cute little interaction where we have little Loki reading a newspaper, like, oh, there's some more news about rocks. That's cool. And we have Ida showing up and saying, like, hey, he's not coming back, Loki. And Loki obviously claps back with, shut up, you lying hag. Like, get away from me. But Ida knows exactly how to speak to Loki. And she's just such a sweetheart that she's like, would you like some juice? And Loki's like, he gets aggravated and he just doesn't say anything. And then he's like, okay. So she knows she's a mom. Loki is still a child, and she's just giving him love and attention in the way that he will receive it. She's just doing a great job. So Ida is just a gem of a lady. Furthermore, we get to the last section of the chapter where we cut to the West Blue, to God Valley. We've got some babies crying, and we see, two twin boys. They're talking about how cute they are, how, they've got your red hair. So obviously we know exactly where this is going. And they bring up the fact that the residents are all like, oh, well, I hope they grow up as bright as you. So obviously the mother is very intelligent. They're going to help pitch in because their daddy is away. And we get the very last panel, we get to see the twin boys, Shanks and Shamrock. So they were actually born on God Valley. Presumably their mother was a resident of God Valley. And that definitely ties in, obviously, to Garling and his assignment on God Valley. So he was there, he presumably met this woman, and now they have twin boys. But they specifically speak of, like, this woman's intelligence. They bring up her red hair. Like, I don't know if maybe she is special in some way, and that's why Garling was tasked or decided that he should have children with her. I don't know. But this is awesome. We finally get to see the true origins of both Shanks and Shamrock. We know Shanks leaves God Valley in the treasure chest with the Roger Pirates. So he's a native resident of God Valley. And there is something on God Valley that these celestial dragons truly want, or Emu specifically, because Shamrock talks about the Great One. So Garling talks about the Great One. Clearly, it's talking about Emu. So there's something here that Emu would want. I don't know if it's related to specifically Shamrock and Shank's mom. Maybe she is a special lineage. If not, there is clearly something on God Valley that is truly enticing for Emu and the Gorosei and all of the celestial dragons. But that wraps up the chapter. I loved this one. It was a great one to come back from the break. My anticipation is just growing unbelievably for the continuation of this flashback. I love being in the era of the legends and getting all of this past information and context and just seeing all these puzzle pieces that we've been missing for so long come together. And I'm just really excited to continue on this journey. And I really hope it leads to God Valley, and I really hope we stay there and we get to actually see the full incident on God Valley before coming back to Elbaf to ultimately face off against Emu. I just think it would bring about this full circle where we have Loki and everybody. But I think Oda is absolutely cooking it up right now, and I just can't wait to see what happens. So hopefully we'll be on a good stretch of chapters. Hopefully we at least get 3. I would love to get 4 with no breaks. But regardless, let me know down below what you guys thought of the chapter. What are some of your thoughts around what may be hidden at God Valley, or any other points you'd love to bring up. But I just want you to know that I appreciate you if you made it this far, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Peace out.